Peace and love, and welcome to the Maru State Random Open Forum. This is Akil Bey, Wazir Arez of Maru State, which is another term for the Prime Minister. I will say before I start off um, that I am on fatherly duties while making this video. My daughter is asleep at the moment, but at any moment she may wake up. You may hear her crying. Please forgive me. But let's see how far we can get before she wakes up. So the information on the screen is from a book. Let me. Okay, I'm just messing up. Just a second. Let me start over. All right, so the information on the screen is from a book called Principles of Political Science. All right, it's a book you can download a PDF file straight to your phone. It's called Principles of Political Science. So we're talking about politics, right? And the science of it, the metaphysics, the jurisprudence, right? So the main point of making this video is to, for one, go over several pictures, screenshots that I sent to my email, and I'm about to share with you guys as we read over them and break this down, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. So this is to learn law, more specifically international law. All right, so let's read what's underlined. It says state is used to denote the sovereign unity of a number of people settled on a fixed territory and are organized under one government. Government is the practical manifestation or organization of the state and essential to it. In ordinary language, state and government are often used interchangeably. Government is the machinery, and I'm just reading the underlying points. Government is the machinery through which the ends or purpose of the state are realized. The state is largely an abstraction. The government is concrete. So when Moors say, my state of mind is Allah, my state of mind is Muslim, my state of mind is Islam, or what have you, that's not a practical term. What is it saying? The state is synonymous with government. So if you say your state, your government is Allah, your government is Muslim, your government is Islam Muhammad, or whatever you say, your government is Moroccan. Okay, now let's get more practical, right? Let's get more concrete. We're not just talking about the abstraction part of state. We're talking about the actual government, which means actually elected officials, which means actual constitution, which means actual laws, right? But we're going to read through some more of these pictures though. Let's go this way. State is used to denote the sovereign unity of, wait, we read that. Okay, so this is the same picture again. Okay, so let's just read the other part where I have underlined. So it goes to say the state is largely an abstraction, or that of the mind. Government is concrete. Governments change or die. The state is permanent. Government has power in virtue of its relation to the state. It is not sovereign. Okay. It has power only because the state grants it power. So hold on. Now, when more say that my state of mind is Allah, right? Natural law, nature's law, When people more say that my state of mind is Allah, well, it says the state grants the government the power. So we talking about the state, which is that of the mind, right? Which means you must know yourself. You must know who you are and declare who you are, then proclaim who you are. How do you properly claim who you are? Through the government. So you can, your state, we need a government. We need a state. Not the metaphysical higher self aspect of it. We're talking about the holistic aspect of it. An actual physical government, a practical manifestation or organization. Okay, not a incorporated organization in a de facto state, right? Remember, Noble Drew Ali said the half has not been told, meaning there's still a lot of work to do. He didn't tell you everything that needed to be done. When more say, Noble Drew Ali brought us everything. Okay, why did he say the half has not been told? So what tells us the other half? International law. Books like these on international law, because it corrects the misinformation. State is not just Muslim, Islam, or what have you. They're asking you, what is the name of your government? Who are the elected officials of your state, your government? So when we say state, don't just think country, think government. That's what is interchangeably used with. It says much of the confusion in older writings on political science is due to the failure to separate state from government. So it's like the mind and the breath. They intertwine, yet differentiate. Right? The mind is the breath, or the breath is the mind in action. Then, of course, you have the mind. So we're just talking about duality here, yet oneness. Because state and government are the same, yet they are differentiated because state is permanent. The government can die. What happened to our government? It died. It failed. The Moroccan Empire is just in a coma. The only people who were exercising authority under the Moroccan Empire, besides the United States, acting as the United States of America, was the Kingdom of Morocco. Is the Kingdom of Morocco. So, and there's other, that can go many ways, but let's just keep it simple. Okay. It said governments change or die. What happened to our government? Again, the Sultan sold us out, who is no longer a Sultan. He's the king of the Kingdom of Morocco. He sold us out, and we're going to read more about that in a few other pictures. Now this goes to speak on, and these pictures are not in order, so don't expect them to make sense going into the next picture. They're totally random. Many of them are from the same book. Some of them are not. But most of them are from principles of political science, like this one. So it says, the words nation and nationality have a common origin. They come from the root natus, the Latin word meaning born. Modern English usage, however, has given distinct meanings to the words. Yet here again, language difficulties cause confusion. The ambiguity is due partly to our inexact everyday speech, partly to dissension among political science writers, and partly to the difficulties of translation. Only in very recent years has a proper distinction been drawn between nation and nationality in the English language, and as yet this distinction, far from being observed in current speech, is not even universally accepted by writers on political science and history. Many writers still use quote unquote nation in our sense of quote unquote nationality, and prefer to use nation state, quote unquote, for nation, quote unquote. So let's realize the difference between the words right quick. Nationality, nation, and nation state. Okay. Um, there's a difference. As it's already, it's about to go more into explaining the difference between nation and nationality. But if there's a difference between nation and nationality, there's definitely a difference between the word nation state. Bringing the word state into this. So it's about to go more into how Moors can stop thinking that, just because they have a nation, that they have a state. When a nation of people can be stateless or without an actual physical government. Remember, the physical government can die or diminish or change, but the state will remain permanent. What is it talking about? The state of mind. What happened to our government? Well, they sold us out and said, hey, you can deal with these more subjects. United States of America, or United States acting as United States of America. So it goes to say, in the German language, there is a word, nation, which does not express the meaning of the same English word. The English equivalent for the German nation is nationality. The English word nation, in spite of the old casual practice of the persistence of source writers, has definitely hold on, let me change this. Has definitely a political significance, which the Germans denote by the word Volk, which is usually translated into English as people. People, not persons, people. Right. The English word people, as the French word peuple, has its nearest German equivalent in nation. The English word nation having its parallel in the German word usually translated people. The Germans have etymology on their side in their ethnic sense of their word nation, from natus or born. But the English language has given nation and nationality distinct meanings. And there is no reason to confuse issues simply because of etymology. Science demands an exact definition as possible. Try to get rid of that. And if on the one hand, popular usage is vague and often wrong. On the other hand, there is no reason to divorce scientific from popular usage in words, except as in the present case, to a certain extent when absolutely necessary. So this is just some background on nation and nationality, not really getting into difference just yet, but we'll read further when we come across that picture again. That's not in order, but we'll bring that point up soon again. This is from the U.S., the United States Citizenship, Expatriation, and Protections Abroad. Okay, so we about to change gears right quick. Now, what does this say? It says, first, when he obtains naturalization in a foreign state. Now, wait, let's read from the top. It says, the law asserting the right of expatriation should be supplemented by an act declaring that expatriation of an American citizen may be assumed. So this is the process of expatriation, right? Just the process of it. It says, first, when he obtains naturalization in a foreign state. Second, when he engages in the service of that foreign government, and such service involves his taking of an oath of allegiance to such government. Okay, so whoa. The first point says, when he obtains naturalization in a foreign state. Okay, If expatriation deals with you becoming naturalized in another foreign state, let's weigh out what we have on the table, the facts on the table. Who is the de facto state? The de facto state, meaning in fact, this is the state, but that doesn't mean this is the truth. But in fact, they're realized, recognized as the state of this land, the United States of America. That's who's governing this landmass. Right? Well, the United States acting as the United States of America, excuse me. So there is no other government besides the more state governments who will be soon taking them to court. You have to know the due process of law to understand that, which I'll probably make another video. I will make another video for. But it says when you get naturalized in a foreign state, so the only state right now is governing this landmass, according to international law, is the United States of America, who is really the United States acting as the United States of America. Until due process of law happens, the more states will be governing. So just based off the strength of the first point of the United States, which is the foreign state, is governing this landmass, meaning that you have, who else would you have naturalized under? There is no Moroccan government. Remember, he sold us out. They became the Kingdom of Morocco, a king in the Kingdom of Morocco. So it says the way you can be naturalized, basically, in a foreign state is to obtain the identity of that foreign state, i.e. Moorish American or any type of American, the Native American, or whatever American. They have all types of ideas they want. On paper, they will put American. Check the boxes. That's what you're politically seen as. What did the Europeans come and do? Europeans, 13 colonies, colonized. They later changed themselves to the United States of America, same Europeans. So politically, they're seen as Americans, not Europeans, not Italians, not Italian Americans, not Hungarian Americans, not Moorish Americans, not none of that. Just Americans. That's the nationality that the Europeans chose to identify as. Who approved of it? The Sultan in a treaty. Said you can do exactly what's in this treaty. You want to call yourself Continental Congress? Cool. You want to change it to the United States of America? Cool. You're still paying rent. So it's the same Europeans that changed themselves to Americans, and Moors want to identify as Americans. Why? Let's just go back to the basics. Nobody, no more that I know of. Well, I gotta take that back. There are Moors that think that they should be citizens of the United States of America. Why, when the United States of America made an agreement with the Moroccan government that failed? Remember, a government can change, but the state is still there. So what do you need to do? Reestablish a government for that state. Your state of mind should be your thoughts in laws. Your affirmations should be a constitution, a state constitution. Your spells should be laws uplifting humanity. So it goes to say the third point, when he becomes domiciled in a foreign state, and such domicile may be assumed when he shall have resided in a foreign state for 5 years without intent to return to the United States. So this is the United States talking. Right? So if you reside for 5 years without intent to return to the United States, well, we wanted to return to Morocco, right? Morocco's jurisdiction. We're not under jurisdiction of the United States. Well, we didn't show intent to return to Morocco. So How do you return to Morocco? Well, you got to be a part of Moroccan government. Where's the Moroccan government? Well, we got to establish that. What does that look like? Three branches of government. State laws. Why state? Well, look up international law. They say states, only states. A lot of those documents are for states only. So what do you need? A state, unless you want to be stateless or without a state. Or say, we don't need a state. Okay, remain stateless. Which doesn't mean mindless. It can mean mindless. That's why they locking Moors up. But stateless is saying you don't have a government. And it's also saying that you could be losing your mind if you trying to take this too far. See, what Moore is trying to do is say, I don't need this straw man attached to me. It has a social security number attached to it. So they try to get rid of that, right? Yet that would mean they have no way to do business, no way to, I wouldn't say no way to do business. They can still do business in other ways. But generally, they would have a very, very, very hard time uh, obtaining business relations with the world, nonetheless. But nonetheless, regardless of what you do, all of what they're doing in that aspect is utilizing the United States system. That'll always keep them here. In order for them to go back to Europe, the more mature aspect of that phrase is decolonization. They'll never give you the answer to decolonization, i.e., making them go back to Europe. So Moors can think they can use the United States stuff all they want, but you'll never get them to, quote unquote, go back to Europe by doing all that. So it goes to say other countries like our own do not naturalize foreigners until they have forsworn all other allegiance. So have Moors done that? No. They haven't took oaths to the United States. They went in court and raised their hands. So it's a lot of stuff out of whack, right? For one, according to Moorish treaties, it says that if you don't have permission from the Moorish government, then you cannot be a part of another government. You haven't expatriated properly. So that's point number one. So can you even be a United States citizen or American citizen or any of that stuff that you think you are, a black person and all that stuff by international law? No. What are you seeing in international law? A Moorish subject and a protege. All these other words, black, Mexican, American Indian, Moorish American, nah. None of that shit exists in international law. You can't find it nowhere. No treaty, no international document. This speaks on acquiescence. Again, it's a random picture from Google article. It says in international law terms, acquiesce, well, basically goes to read, I'm not about to read every word of every picture, but, okay, this is the last picture, so I had to change it. But it says, acquiescence has been said to denote consent conferred from a juridicially relevant silence, right? Juridicially. I'm not sure what those other pictures for that are. Um, but we'll do this though. We'll just bring up a random picture. So it says this is from the book Principles of Political Science. Just a second, my daughter woke up. So it goes to say the legislative is more important. Indeed, the fundamental function of government. Okay, it's the fundamental function of government. So if the United States is not a Moorish government, because we know that a government can diminish, change, fall, just as we read earlier. That means the Moorish government, which diminished, changed, it failed, meaning there is no more Moroccan government on this landmass, because the United States of America took over, right? So it goes to say legislative is more important. Okay, so have legislation, you need a government. Ours failed on this landmass, so we got to reestablish it. So where's the Moorish legislation? Where's the laws? Not the United States rules, not their codes, not their ordinances, executive orders, House resolutions. I'm not talking about those. That's from their system. Remember those? That's 13 colonies. They just changed their names to Americans. Their constitution that constitutes their government. We agreed for them to have a government. So they have a constitution. Meanwhile, ours failed. We had treaties. We had Moroccan legislation. So in order to utilize these treaties, you need a government. But let's go to the next picture, because Moors swear they got states, they swear they got governments, but don't got no laws. Fundamental aspect. I'm going the wrong way. Okay. So this goes back to the point of nation, nationality, and state. Just a second. I have to get her a Bible right quick. Hold on.
You good? You good?
I need to unmute some people. If anybody else is on, okay. Nobody else is on. Okay, cool. Thank you for rocking out with me, Mo.
Appreciate you, dog. For real.
So it goes to say more about nation, nationality, and state. So let's read where it says our distinction, right? Our distinction of state, nation, and nationality may now be made clear by saying that nation is the state plus nationality. Almost every nationality either has been a state, as the Scots, or aspires to be a state, whether it be a new state or a rehabilitation of a previously existing state. A nationality may be a nationality may be nonetheless real though it does not wish to become a complete organic state. Scotland, for example, Scotland, for example, does not wish servants or severance from the British nation. The cry of Scottish homes, but it goes to talk about Scotland. But so we have, and I would need the next picture to really make more sense of this, because in this term it's using nation state. The term nation state basically denoting the nation having a state, opposed to the word nation, and that's where it's really coming from. In previous paragraphs. It says since the law of nations is based on the common consent of individual states and not of individual human beings, so the law, meaning the treaties, the law of nations, the treaties, is based on consent of individual states meaning governments, the balance of powers. That's the sovereign. That a state is seen as a person in international law. That's the person with the sovereign authority, the state, which is truthfully a balance of powers, not of individual human beings. So Moors say, "I've been enforcing the treaty." No, you have not. If you don't have a state, you have not been enforcing anything, because only the government or state can enforce the law of nations. What they have done is they have set themselves up in a certain way in the United States system, included the Treaty of Peace and Friendship in their documentation, and based on how they set themselves up, they did what they needed to do. And since they got that good result, and since the word Treaty of Peace and Friendship was in it, they think it was the Treaty of Peace and Friendship that did it. But it's really how they were set up within or under the United States. And you turn around in international law, a whole nother word, a whole nother system of law. It says nothing about Moorish American. Matter of fact, the United States don't even use that term. They call everybody Moorish subjects and proteges, meaning you're protected by another government. So you must follow the laws of that government. You see Moorish American all up in the United States system all day. A lot of documents. But that's not international law. So it goes to say, subjects of the rights and duties arising from the law of nations are states solely and exclusively. Right? Subject to the rights and duties arising of the law. States exclusively. So again, if individuals talking about, they enforcing the treaty, no, they're not. Um, just a second here. Um, so it goes to say municipal law in accordance with a duty imposed upon the respective state by international law. So the state, which has a duty imposed upon it by international law, governs municipal law. It's the state. Shoot. Where we go? All right. Just a second, y'all. Find out where I was. Okay, so let's go back to them. So it says there can only be one and only one organization of the state. And the other underlying part says permanence means that whatever the form of government may be, the state always continues to exist. So the government, it could be whatever, but the state always continues to exist. What does international law say? Well, you need a state. There's even a more say a theocratic government. Okay, Noble Drali said, learn government from the Europeans, right? Go to those who know law. That's one of his quotes, right? Now, what the people who have theocratic governments in international law are not Europeans, right? People like Yemen, and several other Islamic theocratic governments, which none are European. Okay, why not that? Okay, first off, if there's no need to reinvent the wheel, right? What is the European doing when they're working for the branches of government? That's what the European is doing. European is in the United Nations saying this is how you decolonize. 80 countries have been decolonized thus far, thanks to the United Nations. Um, says the state is permanent throughout, as permanent as the human mind, the unity of which is the fundamental expression. So through the human mind, the state is always exists. As long as humans exist, so does the state. Remember, state is state of mind, and it's also the concrete government. Where's your government? Or the elected officials? Not appointed, not self-appointed. Not saying I'm the sultan of da 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 da. Not saying you're the grand sheik of da 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 da. I'm talking about equivalent, synonymous governmental positions that don't reinvent the wheel. Meaning, look at what the United States does. Do what is de jure out of that measurement. Look at what the United Nations does. Do what needs to be done in that measurement. And follow what the treaties say. There should be no, this is Shim's proposal. This is somebody's idea. No, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Sorry, lay it out. So let's read the next picture. I'll start off where it says 1. One of the most universal bases of nationality is the community of race. This unity of race is characteristic of most nationalities. But here again, one must not be too ready to make it an unqualified necessity of national solidarity. Meaning, there's many avenues that make up nationality. For one thing, modern races are so mixed that it is difficult to say what is one race and what is another race. Even the science of races, ethnology, gives no undisputed theory of races. Opinion on many racial questions among experts is even leading questions confusedly divided. So it goes to say the racial bond of nationality, however, need not be so exact as the science of race demands. So, how do you know you're more? Well, I was born in Morocco. My mom was born in Morocco. My father was born in Morocco. My grandma was born in Morocco. My grandfather was born in Morocco. I mean, my people was always here. So, but you have a European, you're 3, 4 generations back, 5 generations back. Uh, you have all that. Okay, well let's be more exact, right? Because what it says, everybody has basically a little bit of something in them, so it's kind of hard to be saying, who is who and how you're this and how you know when even a lot of these DNA places lie. Many of us know that by now. So how do you do this? Well, you first know who you are. Where were you born? What landmass? You should know that, right? Well, if you know who your mom and daddy is, where were they born? Okay. And if you know who your grandparents are, where were they born? Just some basic questions you can ask yourself. Nonetheless, you can start with yourself. Okay, well, how about a government? Because that's what is needed to be established, right? Well, it's up to the government to establish what that person or government or state says is going to establish. So, meaning several more states thus far have established that in order to be an official of our government, you must be Moroccan. You cannot have a European mother father. We don't want the pen being influenced by uh, by ways that basically led us to fall in the first place. One of the reasons. So they must be of Moroccan descent, right? And we also would like information on your grandfather and on your grandparents, if you know them, on their descent. So it's up to the people. Zoom back out right quick. It says nation is very near meaning to state. The former has a broader signification. It is the state plus something else. The state looked at from a certain point of view, that of the unity of the people organized in one state. Thus we speak the British nation, meaning the British people organized in one state and acting spontaneously as a unity. Uh, it's talking about nation state here. The term nation state. You see this right here. It says nation state. That's what it's talking about. So it says, on the other hand, we should have hesitated to speak on the Austro-Hungarian nation, though we could speak perfectly correctly on the pre-war Austro-Hungarian state. And it goes to say basically how you can differentiate nation, statehood, etc., and how you basically can grow into it. Meaning that, there's several things that can come out of whack. Races can become mixed, which causes confusion in nationality. It can cause confusion in nationality, amongst other issues. Again, this is the science, the political science. And so it's the holistic aspect, not just from one angle. Um, I think we should no need to really read that one. Okay, this one says, scientifically speaking, and it's talking about the difficulty of the words quote unquote state, quote unquote state. So basically, it's saying that hey, state means government, right? But if you're saying somebody's the quote unquote state, you're just saying okay, you the quote unquote government, you the government, right? Okay, you the de facto government, United States. So let's talk about who we talking about here. Let's read about who we talking about here. It says, scientifically speaking, they are states, lowercase s. See, this is a big case s, right? States. That's a difference in that. If you look up the science on that, the law on that, basically when it denotes a small s and not a capital S, that means something. That capital S means a de jure lawful state, while the smaller s denotes to simply either just a country or a de facto state. Okay, whereas the state with the big S It's talking about all the four elements of a state: the country, the state government, the capacity to make treaties with other states or other nations, and define territory. Or what was the other point? Well, I'm not sure what, but the four elements. I'm not sure what points I just said, but the four elements you can find in the Monte Video Convention, in Article 1. Yeah. So it goes to say, um, scientifically speaking, they are states only by courtesy. It would be more correct to call them provinces, as in Canada and India. So it said they call Canada a province, right? It says, as they do not possess the essential characteristics of a state, which is sovereignty, okay, which is not the 9/10 possession, full, complete sovereignty and independence. U.S. has 9/10 possession. They are not the true sovereign by law. So it goes to say, it must also be remembered that the words federal state, quote unquote, really mean federal government. Federal applies to government, not to state. Not to state. A federal state is not a compound state with divided or dual sovereignty. So keep in mind that even though it's making a difference between state, it's also using uh, uh, some lowercase s, but still explaining the difference between state, quote unquote state, and an actual state. So keep in mind when you look up information, sometimes it'll make even differentiations itself and still not be exact. Whereas you can still find it other places where it explains that the capital S and a lowercase s has a lawful meaning to it. So so it must be let me see. A federal state is not a compound state with a divided or dual sovereignty. The state is one and sovereign. The form of government is federal. So federal government. We still ain't talking about state. You know, a lot of more still have how do we need to do with federal government in international law. Well, that's the fact. That's just a corporation. We don't need a federal government. We just need a state, which is the government. That is the type of government. That's the type of body politic the government is, a state government. So what type of form of government, more specifically? A Republican form, right? So it says in this picture, sources of municipal law are custom grown grown up within the boundaries of the respective state and statutes enacted by the law-giving authority. Sources of international law are custom grown up within the family of nations and law-making treaties concluded by the members of that family. The law of nations and the municipal law differ secondly regarding the relations they regulate. Municipal law regulates relations between the individuals under the sway of the respective state and the relations between this state and their respective individuals. International law, on the other hand, regulates relations between states, between the member states and the family of nations. So the difference between municipal law is exactly what it reads on the screen. International law is between states or the family of nations, while states govern municipal laws. Look at the chain effect in the differentiation. Okay. What is the United States? Municipal corporation, corporate, right? Under or acting as the United States of America, who is the lawful state. But since nobody took oaths to the United States of America, there's nobody in no seats of office that America is truthfully just like Morocco in a coma. Nobody's there. The Moors getting passports saying United States of America. Nobody issued that. The United States issued that document. It's a lot of unlaw. Nobody is. There's nobody there. So if you think you're protected by the American government and nobody's there, well, how de jure are you moving if that government is truthfully not all the papers are still sitting on that desk, just piling up. Every time you think you doing something on behalf of American government, trying to be on the de jure Republic of American, the papers are just piling up. So even if you want to be American, you're saying you're not Moroccan. Politically, you're American. It's the principles of political science. That's what this information is coming from right now. I'm reading from. Politically, in a treaty of peace and friendship, you can either be Moroccan or American in a political sense. That's the status. That's the government. That's the jurisdiction. The two governments that established that treaty. Basic international law, right? Uh, I'm not gonna read that. It says this one from Principles of Political Science says the fourth characteristic state is sovereignty. This is the supreme element of statehood. The supreme element of statehood, sovereignty. It goes to say the state is supreme in both internal and external matters. This sovereignty is expressed through government. So who is the sovereign authority? The government, the state, not the individual person. It says all comprehensiveness means that the state embraces all persons and associations of persons within the given territory. Okay, the state encompasses all persons. Who's acting as the state right now? The de facto state. In fact, who is the state? The de facto state, United States, acting as the United States of America. Okay, so if they're pretending to be sovereigns and they're internationally recognized because we haven't established our governments and said anything, because that's the only way we can say anything and be seen in international law. International organizations can be seen in international law too, but they have a different value, dominion. They don't have the same dominion as a state government. If you haven't enforced treaties, if you haven't taken the United States of America to court, people say, I'm a state. Okay, why haven't you taken or planned on taking the United States to court? And how do you plan on doing it? I've been a state for 20 years. You talking about you ain't took nobody to court yet? Within a year, we're taking them to court, and we just got ours established not long ago. You tell me it take you've been in the game 20 years, and you just know exactly what I mean, and still haven't taken them to court. Okay, what are you waiting on? Then? The states have the ability to take other states to court. Hold on, right quick, y'all. Give me one moment. All right. Let's get back to it. Sorry for a brief pause. So this is from Public Law 857. Uh, 856, excuse me. It says, whereas the consuls of the United States in Morocco are permitted to exercise jurisdiction over American nationals under the treaty between the United States and Morocco signed September 16th, 1863, and the Act of Algeciras signed April 7th, 1906, and the exercise by custom and usage the same jurisdiction over subjects of Morocco or others who may be designated as proteges. Now, hold on. You're talking about Moroccan subjects, i.e. subjects of Morocco. So they have the same jurisdiction over more subjects. So in treaties, you see that more subjects have protections, just like French subjects, British subjects have protections under a British government, a French government, Moorish government, etc. Well, in our situation, obviously we have became colonized and our governments failed. So now, remember, keep in mind, this is in 1956. What happened in 1952? France versus United States of America court case, international court case. Uh, so it said in the France versus United States of America court case, they said the ICJ decided, wait. So they decided that the United States of America has jurisdiction over Moorish subjects and proteges. Why? Because the Moorish government failed and couldn't have jurisdiction over its people because there's no government to have jurisdiction to run it. So what else was decided in that case? That in order for the Moroccans, the Moorish subjects, to basically exercise jurisdiction how we want to, we got to establish a quote unquote a Moroccan authority. And it said only basically through the consular court can we exercise these, or can we exercise Moroccan laws and get in the Moroccan jurisdiction and all this. Basically, paraphrase that, but this was what the ICJ decided. Okay, so you clearly see right here, public law, Moors love public law 856, but they never read page 774 where it says same jurisdiction over subjects of Morocco. Okay, well, if you're a Moorish subject, right, just like if a French subject is under a French government, okay, you thinking, oh, well, I want to be a Moorish subject. Well, in this case, it's not good because you've been subjugated. The United States has jurisdiction over subjects of Morocco. You want to be a national, for one. For two, it just clearly says the United States has same jurisdiction over subjects of Morocco. So what are the treaties called? Moroccan subject. So there you go. It's just that simple. So you establish a state which has its own sovereign and independent jurisdiction. You're under somebody else's jurisdiction. State and stateless. There's only two statuses, state and stateless, in international law. So this goes to say, nationalities are based on some or other of the above factors, but nationality is spiritual, formed by common ideas acting on a number of minds. Its natural basis may be one element or a combination of elements. In itself, it is essentially spiritual, usually seeking its physical embodiment in the self-government of some form. Okay. Nationality is spiritual, huh? Okay. Usually seeking a physical embodiment in self-government in some form. Okay. My state is state of mind. Okay, it is spiritual. Nationality is spiritual too. But guess what? A government can fall, just as we read earlier. It can change forms, all that. What happened to ours? It failed, right? It got sold out. Simple math. It goes to say nationality is spiritual. Okay, well, we love to talk about demons and spirits and shit like that, right? Excuse my language. But if we really talking about measuring up spirits, especially the ones that govern this earth, you know, how people say summon up demons with the CERN came in and got the ancestors or whatever coming through the skies and all this stuff. Okay, well, if you want to talk practicality and spirituality and make it make sense for the world, just common sense, instead of getting all boogeyman, because I actually want to talk about that too. Because I'm gonna actually speak on that. I'm gonna change gears right quick. Occultism, right? Spiritual transmutation. A lot of times in the ancient writings and descriptions, you see that the soul has a ugly face to it because it's symbolic to chaos, right? The dark, the hidden, the unknown, etc. Right? The feminine, which is symbolic to chaos energy. Nobody knows what a woman mind is up to. Why? We're just talking about principles. We're just talking about masculine and feminine, chaos and order. That's all we talking about here. Same story over and over. So, yeah. Like that. Hold on just a second, Mo. I got some silver right here. Um, so we're talking about again, just kind of off the the cultism aspect. We're talking about the soul, things of this nature is depicted as ugly and all these monstrous pictures, right? Many times, and it has its beautiful depictions as well. But um, we're talking about basically. I'll tell you this: Brother Panic has a video that speaks on the. He breaks down the spiritual concept of the hood movies, of a lot of hood movies like Juice, Minister Society, and one of the underlying points he speaks on, okay, is how, for instance, O-Dog, right, in Minister Society, O-Dog wasn't real, just as many of these characters weren't real. And if you pay attention to the movie, or many of these movies, you'll see the spiritual side of what I'm saying. And if you can go to Brother Panic's video and read more about that, basically saying that this person and this person and this person in the movie who you think is separate or real people are actually depicting different sides of the same person, of one person, or differently. You know how, Thoth represents a whole nother person, but it's really just an aspect of your mind or the mind. And then Oshun, and then Ra, and then Set. This represents this. This is just different parts of you, personified differently. And if you pay attention to the movies, that's how it is. Many people try to, uh, this is what they're saying. It's different layers of consciousness, if you will. You can break it down. This was the government. Black power. This, whatever. But until it always comes back to yourself. If it's not coming back to you and yourself only, you're not looking deep enough. You're right. So, check that video out by Brother Panic. But just to kind of get back to the point here at hand, before I get back to this point, actually, I'll conclude by saying that the soul, why I brought the soul looking ugly, is because the big bad United States, the spirit, that spirit that governs this landmass, right? Or the state, the abstract mind is through the human mind, right? So the spirit that's governing that landmass, right? Because you don't need the physical to have a mind. You tap into the mind. But we're talking about turning even the external portion of the big bad boogeyman and even the internal portions of whatever big bad boogeymans you may have or demons or whatever the fuck you fight internally, excuse my language. But this is the highest tier of that. If you know how to master this tier, understand that as within, so without. Okay, this system mimics the internal system. It's the same thing. So what do you think you need to do? Plug and play? How do you think you can transmute the monster? It looks like the gremlin into the most beautiful flower you think you've ever seen. You transmute your mindset. Know who you are. It has nothing to do with whatever the fuck you think it is. And again, excuse my language. All these people are just different aspects of you. Even me talking to you, whoever is listening. We're all one. What does this mean? Okay, the physical is real. Okay. It has its differentiations. It's oneness and separateness. So you also got to explain where it ends or changes. So I say all that to say before as I conclude that perspective, it comes back to you and nationality being spiritual, dealing with international law, integrating worlds, the new world to come. This is how you usher in the new world, right? This is the needle point that makes a whole new world. If you know how to master this, this is a reflection of many higher tiers within you. If you know how to measure, right? A yard is not as long as 2 yards. Simple measurements. Municipal law is not international law. 1 yard and 2 yards. Simple measurement. Right? International law governs the entire world. Okay. Nationality is spiritual, right? This stuff is spiritual. So we talking about the entire realm, sphere of things. We talking about the whole Kabbalah system in international law, if you want to put it like that. Whatever your entire belief system in international law. Your entire spiritual revelations in international law. All that will get changed. Literally. Even your dreams. everything about you. So there is nothing higher than this, basically. You can know all the telekinesis, know all the personal spiritual techniques. Okay. Understand that you can know that same thing in a concentration camp, in a jail cell. You understand? So you got to know the values. Six man ain't gonna come out acting like LeBron James. We have to know how to measure out lanes. What happened to the Buddhists who can turn their physical body into light? It's a whole bunch of people. Oh, my melanin, I ain't got nothing to worry about. It. Okay. Do all the spiritual stuff you want to talk about. They got ransacked, turning physical body into light. Who doing that? I want to see Mr. Melanin woman, man, and do that. Nobody's doing that now. You're in a cave somewhere practicing that, as a Buddhist monk or something. So basically, as I stated, there's nothing higher than this. Period. So, let's go to the next picture. I want to rank. So it goes to say this picture. This is from the book Vienna Convention, Long Treaties, a commentary. It says, if a treaty text has been drafted by organs of an international organization. So what is an international organization? Just an organization, just a corporation. It's just international known as an organization. So it's an international organization, such as the War Science of America or the United Nations. This is an international organization. The United States is an international organization. So it says if a treaty text has been drafted by organs of an international organization, by a large, two different ways of proceeding are available. By and large, two different ways of proceedings are available. So two ways that the temple could go about it. Let's just say more side of Central America. Let's just use that example. Go about establishing a state. It says either the international organization decides to approach the traditional path and convenes a diplomatic conference of government representatives. Okay, so you gotta have government representatives, meaning that elected officials. You gotta have diplomatic conference, meaning you gotta have a diplomatic relation. You gotta be ready to say, hey, this is our prime minister or whatever. This is our legislative body right here. This is this elected official. This is our head judge, the chief judge, or whatever. You have to be actual people filling actual government positions, taking actual oaths, right? So the international organization must have government representatives, because as a government representative, you got to take an oath, right? So these are some of the basics, like behind this word, government representatives. Okay, so how do you officially become a government representative? Just Google it, right? So it says, or it officially adopts the draft treaty and submits it to the ratification process. Okay. So it's saying that basically you can establish a diplomatic body and go holler at the United Nations. Because that's where this treaty is talking. That's what this is talking about from the Vienna Convention on the Law of Nations. It's drafted by the United Nations. It was promulgated by the United Nations. It says you can either have a diplomatic body. So if there's no treaty, let's just say there's no treaty backing you, get some governmental representatives, right, for that territory, establish diplomatic relations, go holler at the United Nations and say, hey, we're in this predicament. There's the ability to even create a treaty. But is there a need to do that for us? on this landmass as Moors? No, because there's treaties already set in place. Right? They're already supreme law of the land, waiting to be activated. So it goes to say, or it officially adopts the draft treaty. So you adopt the treaties that's already set in place. Active Outer Series, all these conventions that the United Nations has, talking about, a lot of other good things, how you decolonize and all this types of stuff. If you don't accede to the treaty, you can't use it. So you must do that and submit it to the ratification process. So you must ratify it. What happened to the UNDRIP document? It was created and never ratified. It's like it's created and it sat on the government's desk and it was never enforced. So it's no use. You can't use it until it's ratified. More trying to say, hey, look at the UNDRIP. We don't have to pay rent. I remember trying to use that stupid stuff. That I'm using that stupid idea. We ain't got to pay rent. Look what it says. The whole time, the whole document had this word state mentioned 20 plus times. Literally. It says only states can enforce all these. Only states. So it says, this next picture says, for all local bodies are subordinate to the central government. The laws are really only bylaws. Okay, we'll stop right here for a second. All bodies, like Northside Central America, are subordinate to the central government. How do we know? That religious organization is incorporated in the de facto state, the United States, incorporated in another corporation, true, acting as a government. How unwavering do you think that is? It's not too unwavering. In Babylon, it's about the United States, and that's known to receive the fall. And you put all your eggs over here in that basket. That doesn't sound too smart. So you just got to transition. We're going to talk more about the train. I'll make a whole video for that. It says their laws are only really bylaws. Okay, well, we're talking about non-national bylaws, not constitutional bylaws. Okay, so their laws are only really bylaws. You probably just debunk, like, hey, just put it on another level, society level. It does not equate to state laws. Bylaws are not the same as state laws. Like the highways and byways is not the same. They're parallel. They are not the same. But no, a parallel, like, yeah, but it's not the same. So you can practice. That's why the Moors, you knew this. The Moors, third and fourth generation will understand. Not the Moors right now. In his time. Third and fourth generation, they'll get it. But what he has established, you still anymore, they're not going to get it. They're not going to see what has not been told. So it goes to say they have their constitution, such as the right constitution, which define their powers. They can make laws within limits, and anything beyond, anything done beyond those limits is ultra vice or beyond their powers. So something can be beyond their powers, even if they have a constitution, right? Explains their powers. So it goes to say, and therefore, the point of the difference is that whereas the provincial government, the federal state, are guaranteed, that's talking about the federal state, talking about the United States. But the provincial state government, so you're talking about the provincial state government. You got to get other federal state. In this instance, it's talking about the United States. So saying, whereas provincial governments of the federal state are guaranteed by fundamental constitution, unalterable by an ordinary process of legislation. Local bodies exist at the will of the central legislature. Okay. Let me more about that here shortly. Again, this stuff is not important. So what I just spoke on unnecessary line at this point. But let's read this and we'll get back to that point here shortly. It says recognition. Right? The recognition of a new state or government is an act that only other states and governments may grant or withhold. So only states can recognize the states. The United Nations is a state. No, it's not a government. It's an international organization created by many other governments. Governed by many other governments. Okay? Similar to how empires form. This is post-empire. It's not empire. It's not that era. It's not the same. We used to run a stat. We used to have religious governments as the head. The theocratic government used to be the way we ran government. But now there's a balance of powers, right? And we use a republican form of government. It generally implies readiness to assume diplomatic relations. So being recognized assumes readiness for diplomatic relations. Meaning that this is one of the things you must do, being recognized by state, right? So it says the United Nations is neither state nor government, and therefore does not possess any authority to recognize either state or government. As an organization of independent states, it may admit a new state to its membership or accept credentials of the representatives of the new government. Okay. Then it has procedure down below. I don't have, but it says, well, I don't have a picture. But so then you can find instructions on the United Nations website what to do. But again, I just want to make a point that the United Nations is not a state government, can't be a Republican or Democratic or anything form of government because it's not a government. But what it can do is accept the credentials of the representatives of the new government. So what happens at that point? Once it's accepted, notified properly. They notify all the other states throughout the world, in the process of decolonization starts from here. Um, so this picture says it, it says international plane, ending another sentence that I don't have a picture of. But it says, being nonetheless a state in terms of international law, it continues to possess the de jure capacity to conclude international treaties. So state can conclude international treaties. The treaty making capacity of states requires no active recognition by other subjects of international law. The very moment a state comes into existence in accordance with international law, its treaty making capacity cannot be contested without denying the entity's legal status as a state. Okay, so this is more on the world of recognition. Now we haven't went through that world entirely, that process entirely. I'm just reading some of these points recognition is one of the last things you do to establish a state. Okay. First, you must notify the United Nations properly as a state. A seeds or trees, then you must be recognized as other states. Why is it important to be recognized? Even though it says what it says on screen. Well, if you're not recognized, let's just say the 6 or 7 more states established thus far. If there's a more state, let's just say Idaho. If the ones Idaho say, hey, we want to establish a state, except we don't want to do nothing like how the 7 more states did. I said, okay, well, that's a point, but understand that as of right now, there's already in play in information the United States of Morocco being established by several states that once that's deposited, promulgated correctly, probably, then the states who are part of the United States of Morocco, we basically are the sovereign authorities as the United States of Morocco. So if you're not in accordance, you won't be recognized by the more states. Not to say, hey, always highway, international law is highway. So if your reports are not in accordance with the treaties, such as trying to have an ecclesiastical body, start a state with ecclesiastical body and charter, that will fly. That's not what the treaties say. That's not what the treaties instruct. Or say ecclesiastical body, okay, well, you're trying to get religious. Trying to have 5,000 members, let's just say ecclesiastical body. The rest of the people are outside of that ecclesiastical body, okay. We're talking about taking a religious aspect of things. What about the other religious people? We're talking about human rights, not religion. Guess what? In the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, they say Mohammedans and Christians, or Muslims and Christians. Well, if we was to modernize these words and say Muslim means what? What was the intent of that treaty? It was denoting the Moroccan. And Christian denoted what? It denoted the United States citizen. So when more states define this in law, says the Christian is basically the United States citizen. Well, guess what? There is no need to try to push for somebody's law or for somebody's religion, for your religion or somebody else's. We're clarifying. The law is clarifying what your religion is by law. By law. This is not a debate. It's not our opinion. It's already established. Muslims and Christians in treaties. Muslims and Christians. So somebody was asked, okay, who is the person? What side is the Christian person? Oh, that's another term for the United States. They just use Christian. Oh, okay. You just tied up the whole aspect of what's really going on here. There's no debate about that. That's just comprehension of a treaty between two parties. There's nothing to debate there. Feel like there's about cognitive distance you just need to face right now. It's just common sense. It's two different parties. Muslims and Christians, okay. There's a treaty between both, i.e. the Moroccans and the Americans. There's only treaty between both. There's nothing to say. So it goes to say the treaty may impact. Okay, so let's go to the next picture. Let's use these indications here at the bottom. So the picture says I'm coming up to some of the last few pictures. The term treaty is legally reserved for the agreements concluded between states. So again, individuals talking about, yeah, I used to trade this friendship. He couldn't believe you just face. Man, look, both of y'all confused. Both of y'all lost. Judges don't even know. That's just corporation charge. Well, America talking about, yeah, I used the treaty. Turn around, international law book says only states use the treaty. There's a lot of people confused. You think government ain't spiritual? And again, it's about the big spiritual spirit you're dealing with right now, hidden as collective consciousness. Everybody talk about that. Like, okay, create government. Let's get practical. Let's get real. Stop reading. Malcolm X was dreaming about how black history go. Talking about the history of the pyramids. Like, stop boosting your ego. Like, be real. That shit get annoying. So, you see how many ungrounded people there are. That shit pisses me off. But anyways, let's say for the existence of a state, government is necessary. My state of mind is out loud. Guess what? Your state don't even exist if you don't have a government. You're not about to go to no table amongst nations and say my state. Did somebody ask you what's your state? Because Allah. No, what's your state? Like, what's your state? Where's your state? Oh, it's in the higher self of the Muslim mind of you go in Israel. No. Where's your state? Like on the map. You point to the whole continent of quote unquote America. No. If that doesn't have a central government governing that state, you didn't answer the question. That's why they call people insane. They say more is what you're losing. It's like you can't read the simple words. What does the Black Law Dictionary say? State. It has government in it. And what's going to tell you state of mind is a lie. They missed out 95% of that whole definition. It's like, read the word, man. If you don't see government, a lot of emotion clouds the logic. The logic is right there in your face. A lot of color. Emotion clouds the logic, causing the cognitive dissonance to be hard to deal with. Too much emotion. Many emotional responses, perspectives, reactions. Let's deal with number one with logic. True formation that requires energy. Emotion. Let's deal with number one. Okay. Let's deal with number one. Government is the organization of the state. Organize your mind by organizing government. Or else you just sharing what's on your mind like a crazy man down the street. Right? Just opinions. Sharing what's on your mind. Nobody cares if it's not coming from the government, though. That's why nobody respects you. So it says the government is the organization of the state. The organ of unity. So the organ of unity, more than unified. Oh, we just need to love, truth, peace, freedom. Okay. Well, come together in a political sense. It's meaning form of government. Or that we need to love each other. You're calling him out. You don't need to be calling other Moors out. That's into the lower self. So what the judge is going to be doing? Just a second. Is that more don't want to deal with accountability. They don't want to face themselves. So they want to keep the peace, love, and light. But guess what? We got to treat peace and friendship. So you want to enforce peace in a practical sense, in an international sense. And we enforce treaties such as the peace, treaty of peace and friendship. That's the peace, the love, the peace state I'm coming from. I want to talk about peace and force. So Jews, Christians, and Muslims can go back to the peaceful state that we once lived in. We're talking about, hey, don't call somebody out because now you're getting to lower self. What makes your way better than this way? Well, if I'm sharing international law, we're talking about the highest form of law. I'm not talking about my opinion. I'm not talking about my way. I'm talking about the highest way. That's what makes it. It trumps every way. I'm not saying anything out of opinion. These are not my words. Reading international law. So there's nothing to debate with here. Nothing. More just like get out of that emotional stuff. Well, scared to face the truth that they have misaligned with. Essentially, term for one is, I don't know everything. Okay. So that means when you're corrected the next moment, don't fight so hard. It's simple math. It really is. It's very simple. He goes to say, so the unity, right? Talking about the unity. So the organ whereby the common purpose which underlies, well, it says underlies, but underlies that unity are definitely translated into practical reality. Okay, that unity. Definitely translated into practical reality. So what's wrong with unity? Okay. It ain't gonna start by how many posts and memes we can make. It's gonna start by establishing state government. You want unity? Okay, let's be real. Let's bring some Capricorn out. Let's be practical. Y'all want to be amongst nations? Okay, how we gonna establish unity amongst nations? Establish a state government. So, I'm gonna be quick. I'm gonna try to be quick so you guys don't hear my background. Okay. So it says, but the powers and functions and constitution of local bodies are fixed on form. So it says the powers and functions and constitution of local bodies are fixed by statute. So the body constitution, which is runs the constitution of organization incorporated in another organization, the de facto government, acting as another government. None of that's too solid, but it goes to say the constitution of local bodies are fixed by statute. So that constitution is fixed by statutes, our statutes. Moors love to say that's only a statute. Okay, my constitution has the same meaning. Constitution of local bodies are fixed by statutes. Okay. Also, local is a theocratic. Local is a theocratic government. Okay, it's incorporated in the de facto government. So it's not what you think it is. Dealing with corporation, you're talking about business. You're talking about corporate. Municipal. It says some writers, it is true, use the term local government in the wider sense of state government in a federation or the local administration by government officials. This is not correct. So what is the local government? More scientific America talk about a lot of times. Some of them, I should say. Democratic government, that local government. But some people confuse it with state government. It's not the same. It's what it says. It's not correct. It's not correct. More scientific America is not a state government. It's a religious organization incorporated in the United States. So it goes to say, this one says Federations cannot be considered as states in the eyes of international law, regardless of whether their federations deem them as states uh, in terms of constitutional law. Uh, uh, and I really meant to talk more about what I don't have a picture of it. It got cut off, so this picture really doesn't do too much for me right now. But I'm fine by these. So it goes to say the international treaty may confer rights or duties upon international persons lacking the capacity to conclude this very treaty themselves. Example, human beings. So a treaty can confer rights and duties. What do the treaty say? Well, the Act of Serious seen as a treaty in international law, even though it's called that. The Act of Serious seen as a treaty in international law. Has the ability to confer rights and duties upon international persons lacking the capacity. The next 2 minutes. So let's try to wrap it up right quick. A state under occupation or failed state may be deprived of any state organ unauthorized to act on behalf of the state. Okay. So what is a state under occupation? Colonization, right? Or a failed state may be deprived of any state organ authorized to act on behalf of the state. Failed state means like our state failed. It failed us. Sold us out. So it's not rocking right now. So we definitely have to cut this short here. So this goes more about the acquiescence that we spoke on at the beginning. It goes to say silence will thereby convey consent. Okay, you know, let me do this video, huh? Okay, so we're gonna go to the next picture. How much my daughter let me do this? It says treaties must be governed by international law. Right? It says states power. So the states power. The states power is synonymous with competence. Okay, so when we say the competence, people don't see you competent if you don't have or not a part of the state. So when we say more or not competent, we're talking about the establishment of the state. You have not are you dumb? We're talking international language, terminology. Okay. So it's power, the authority to perform particular acts. It's synonymous with competence. Okay. Okay, you know that. All right, so we're going to cut this short, guys. I thank you for rocking out with this.